It's Friday night live radio here on UCY.TV. For the next 60 minutes, you're going to be listening to me, Jim Funke, with Boiler Room Radio, right here on UCY. I don't have Lance with me at the moment. He's on the highway, headed to the house. As fast as he can pedal, I'm guessing, because he's missing the show. And he texted me a minute ago and said, I'm stuck in traffic. There's a huge accident in front of me. But now he's pedaling and said that he should be there by the time I finish these videos that I'm getting ready to play for y'all. The 2 videos that we usually do, and maybe even a third one in case Lance isn't back quite yet. But we're going to go ahead and jump over here to my YouTube channel and click on the Daily Roundup and bring up some stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. Because as you know, Smoke'em's Market Minute rolls without Mr. Smoke'em himself or not. With him or without him. We will jump over here and listen to these clips. Now, again, it is Friday, so there is a hyper report. Scott got out of bed early.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is the Hyper Report. Here are the quotes for various items. First, BRICS Bank. The leaders of the BRICS have announced a $100 billion worth of reserves for their own version of the IMF. Needless to say, it doesn't take much imagination to visualize the U.S. Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, and Japan Central Bank doing anything legal and illegal to stop this threat. Next, Juggernaut Alliance. According to Stephen Lee, the U.S. is still acting like it's the only game in town. However, the U.S. is slowly losing power as the China, Russia, and Germany juggernaut is being drawn closer together. He goes on to say that as soon as they have enough gold, they are going to form a new currency based on gold, and that will be the end of the dollar. To slow down this looming juggernaut, the Fed will never return Germany's gold. Next, 6 reasons to question Malaysian story. Here are a few. 1. Why was a passenger airline flying in a hostile zone in the first place? 2. The Ukrainian separatists do not have the military hardware capable of shooting down an airplane at 33,000 feet. 3. Just gotta love all those 7s. Boeing 777 flight MH17 shot down in the 7th month on the 17th day? Next, Middle East. Israel and Hamas have come to a mutual agreement. They both strongly believe that John Frankenstein Kerry should just stay the hell out of the Middle East and that he would cause more harm than good. Who says progress isn't being made? Next, climate worries. According to a UK study, people who claim to worry about climate change use more electrical power than those who do not. This is in part due to age. People over 65 are more frugal and use less. Next, new alert system. The SEC is looking to overhaul the emergency alert system so that Obama can interrupt national programming, your phone service, and other media to discuss his views. Yes, it's for emergencies. However, can anyone name a politician today who would not take advantage of this? To that end, look for national security alerts on Michelle's food choices and his latest golf handicap. Next, 4 top toxins to the brain. Here they are without any detail. 1. Monosodium glutamate. 2. Fluoride. 3. Heavy metals and not the type of music. 4. Artificial sweeteners. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Good evening, Lance.
Hey, good evening.
Did everything but forgot to unmute.
Yep, I was on mute.
You must have been pedaling your butt off, dude. You made it home pretty quick.
Well, I did, and you know, it was funny because living near bridges and tunnels, you have to deal with traffic all the time because people not around here don't know how to frickin' drive through a tunnel. I mean, maintain the speed. What's so hard about maintaining a constant speed through a tunnel? They got to slow down to 25, 35 miles an hour. I'm like, go home. But, so I got off the interstate because it was backed up a couple miles, and my exits, you know, I mean, not even a quarter mile before the tunnel is where my exit is. So I got off early where I normally get off. And then I said there was another accident when I texted you and said, ah, shit, traffic stopped moving.
Yep.
A landscaping trailer caught on fire. All the lawnmowers.
Oh, man.
There were a couple riding lawnmowers on the back, a couple push mowers, weed eaters, and gas cans. Well, I'm thinking that, you know, the lawnmowers were hot and near the gas cans, and the guy was driving down the road. He luckily got it unhooked from his truck, but it was sitting there burning.
Wow.
Yeah,
I hope he had insurance on all that shit.
I hope so, too. You know, a lot of these landscaping guys aren't even licensed and bonded, so I don't know.
But I mean, if you're going to go to the store and spend $30,000 on a couple of really nice riders, because the grasshoppers and Dixie choppers and stuff like that, those are pretty expensive mowers. 15,000, between 10 and 15.
They are.
So yeah, they're not cheap at all, man. Even the little Toro that I got, it's only got a 48-inch deck on it. It was like $7,800 when my dad went and got it. It's old, some bitch. I mean, because my dad bought it and he died in 06. Mm-hmm. But it still runs like a champ.
Yeah, we got a John Deere. My dad's got one of the big green and yellow riding John Deeres, and I love it.
Yeah, they're nice. Sure. Has it got the wheel or is it a zero turn?
No, it's wheels. It doesn't have the zero turn.
I got the zero turn. They're pretty nice. But if you don't if you don't pay attention to what you're doing and you're on wet grass, you can rip up the ground pretty good.
You can.
But anywho, welcome to the show, brother. I'm glad you made it in. It wasn't too far. I thought I was going to have to play a couple of extra videos just in case you didn't make it.
No, I'll tell you what. It was almost like a Saturday today. I worked from home for a little bit and went out to my dad's house, and we had BLTs and sliced tomatoes, corn on the cob. It was your typical summer.
Very nice.
Dinner. Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice. Question. One final update on your leg. How's everything progressing along?
Fine. In fact,
all healed up?
Yeah, let me look down at it. Yeah, I still got a big old black, dot hole on where the wound is, where the wound was. But I felt it in the shower this morning. The lymph nodes are going down.
Good deal.
I'm actually going to go walk 9 holes tomorrow. It'll be first round of golf I played in 2 months.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Good, I'm glad. Okay, final update on the leg. Everything's copacetic.
For now.
You want to jump in between the videos and do your stories, or you want to go ahead and roll with Manarino?
Yeah, it didn't have a lot of financial stuff, so we'll let Manarino handle that today. I got something on the First Amendment from a journalistic point of view that on mine today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a very good take on the First Amendment from a journalist standpoint.
Nice. Manarino's a little lengthy today, 12 minutes. We'll go ahead and see how it plays along, but it's a red alert. Global economic collapse is accelerating now.
I'm sure he'll talk about the flight, too.
Yeah, I hope so. Because we're going to discuss the shit out of that for a minute.
I was going to say, I think Scott was wrong on that.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Gregory Manarino. How are you today? It is Friday, July 18th, 2014.
I think everybody's
People,
wrong.
before I even get started, and to my friends all around the world, I'm going to do something here that I have not done before, and that is this. I want to dedicate this video to someone out there, and you know who you are, who has had a profound effect on my life. So much so, it's hard to put into words. Anyway, with that said, let's move forward.
All right, people,
there are geopolitical events unfolding around the world now that I really hope you are paying attention to. And I want to put a perspective on this because it goes back to something I've been speaking about for years now. Many people have.
Oh.
But it's just so critical to get right now, and we're going to talk about that. And some other things that are off the radar. There is something else going on that I haven't seen almost anywhere on the media, and we're going to talk about that too. People, we found out here that nearly 300 innocent people have been murdered when their passenger airline was shot down over the Ukraine. Their bodies are spread out all over the landscape. Children, infants, men and women.
Got some questions about that.
Caught up in this. It's a tragedy that's hard to even put in any kind of a perspective. We're watching the Middle East literally blow up. It's destroying itself here. But with all this in mind, what does it boil down to? What does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? I mean, let's put a perspective on this. Again, I've been talking about for years now, people, how we have an issue here. Again, it all goes back to this, of global debt that is insurmountable, and we're all going to pay a terrible price for this. It's not just a financial problem. It's a resource issue. What is going on right now, all around the world, all these geopolitical events and war and murder, is a grab for resources. It's that simple.
Yep.
It's that simple. It's going to get monumentally worse. I have said publicly, I even write this in my book, Politics of Money, that at one point, people will be eating each other in the streets as this unfolds. And we're seeing some of that now. The slaughter of people is epic right now. And in my opinion, as this debt bubble bursts, again, people understand, it's not just a financial problem. Let me put a perspective on this for you if you're new here. If you're not new here, you get this. We have been pulling and borrowing cash into existence to acquire resources that we would not normally have. It's that simple. We've created a threat to humankind that is hard to fathom, and people can't get their head around it. Again, it's a bubble, and every other subsequent bubble that we have right now, and I'm talking about the stock market as well, and distortions that continue to be made worse and worse by a runaway Federal Reserve, there's going to be a price to pay here, people, and we're seeing some of that right now. There's no doubt about it. It's an issue about resources, period. So you really need to understand what this is and how this is going to get much, much worse, and how our policymakers, in collusion with the central banks, the Wall Street banks, and the military-industrial complex, are going to try to twist this and force-feed you information that is absolutely wrong, and try to persuade you to believe things that are absolutely false. That is the mechanism here, because the financial monster, and this is the truth, linked to this debt problem that we're seeing explode all over the world, cannot be stopped. It's been unleashed already, and we are clearly in an economic collapse. Let me put another few perspectives on this for you. There's a lot of people out there who mock this concept, who don't understand that the U.S. dollar has already collapsed. Let's talk about that for a moment. Since leaving a gold standard, since leaving a wealth,
what's the dollar worth on the world stage now, Lance?
The U.S. dollar has lost over 90% of its value, purchasing power. If that isn't an absolute collapse, I don't know what is. If your house lost 90% of its value, would you call that a collapse of its value?
What was that?
I said $1 is less than €1 right now.
Yikes. And the Eurozone is in a depression.
Well, yeah.
And they make videos about all this stuff about people like me, as a matter of fact. And it's funny in a way, because we can all laugh at them. That's what I do. But it really just plays into this thing that we're seeing now, people. We understand that we have world central banks who have become printing presses. They're trying to print their way out. They know that they can't print their way out. All they're doing is trying to keep it buoyed. And when this debt bubble bursts, when resources are not available to people, you get what's going on here around the world. You get wars. You get people murdering each other in the streets, shooting jetliners out of the sky. This is going to get much, much worse, people, and it's coming right to your front door, even if you live right here in the United States. Understand, our policymakers realize this. Why do you think the United States of America is one nation under surveillance? Why they watch everything that we do? Why on that corner, and that corner, and that corner, there are cameras everywhere? Why do you think that the police in every state in the union have been militarized? They know where this is going. 99% of the people out there, maybe not that much, but close to it, have no idea. None. They're going to pay the highest price for this. If you follow this blog, you get it, and I'm damn proud of you. Let's move on to a few more things. This is off the radar.
Hurry up, you're getting a little long-winded.
Portugal's largest bank last week, or the week before, announced it was having a issue regarding debt repayment. There are a lot of people out there saying this was a one-off. There is no way this can be a one-off. I've spoken about this at length, the issue with credit default swaps. Okay, we just found out that a South African nation, Angola as a matter of fact, is having similar problems.
Whoops.
This is huge. And again, wherever you are in the world, all of these banks are interconnected through these mechanisms of credit default swaps and a bunch of other things as well.
Derivatives.
You're very careful with your cash right now. It's very dangerous to keep it in one of these institutions at this time. If you have to keep it in a bank, try a credit union. You'll be a lot better off.
Or a
Simply
really
pull your
tiny
cash out of
bank.
your whatever bank, put it into a credit union. I think in the grand scheme of things, you'd be better off with your cash there. You should be allocating your cash out of paper. That's a fact. You should be getting into commodities as well. Just to put another perspective on this, I know this is getting kind of long, bear with me here. When we saw the market pretty much collapse yesterday, we had a major sell-off in the equity markets. Where did the cash go? Went into commodities. I've been saying this for years now. This is the move we're going to see as this entire thing comes down. We understand that Janet Yellen came out this week, as a matter of fact, speaking about stock valuations, and she said plainly that she believed that there were certain sectors in this market that were overheated. Because of that, one of my stocks actually took a hit. It's interesting because I don't usually agree with Jim Cramer, but we were both very, very bullish about Johnson & Johnson, J&J. He came out publicly saying he thought it was going higher. I said the same thing. Janet Yellen came out, made her comments, put pressure on that sector.
Sexy girlfriend!
It took a pretty big hit there. That's trading. I'm not complaining about it. I understand that. Speaking of that, just real quick, and Jim Cramer, he does not believe right now, he had an article, I think it was on CNBC, that now is the time to be in equities. It's frightening. I think he's right here. And the reason why I'm trying to get this video out early today is I'm contemplating closing long positions that I have right now. I'm only holding 2. And I do believe if I sell them now, I will sell them at a loss, but that's okay.
Okay, we're going to roll out of this because he's going on 9 minutes now, and he's still, I mean, he's only dropping a couple of...
I'll never forget right before the crash of 2008, Jim Cramer was out there saying, buy, 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 and then the next day it crashed like 200 points or something like that.
Yeah. Whoops.
And he still has a show.
I mean, sell.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to you. I actually want to get your take on what happened to the market yesterday when this plane was blown out of the sky. You know, because everybody like ran for. I don't know. You tell me what.
Hold on and let me pull up my thing here because.
MBS was off today.
It was off a little bit today, but the rally. Yesterday was further fueled by the tragic event in Ukraine, which was the jet, as well as the Israeli offensive that took place in Gaza. The apparent shooting down a Malaysia airplane passenger jet over the Ukraine sparked a flight to safety as equities fell and bonds rose. Israel stepped up their offensive against Hamas militias by beginning a ground invasion of Gaza.
Killing civilians.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, I sound more like a world news reporter than someone tracking the market, but these events were driving the markets throughout the day and will likely influence today. This was this morning's market report that I emailed you. Mm-hmm. It did gain 34 basis points for the day yesterday and up 18 from earlier price levels. So it was a good day in the markets yesterday.
Well, good for them. All right. On to your today's stuff.
Well, he kept talking about a bubble and the crash and everything else. In the spirit of calling things what they are, a market crash are simply distorted, mispriced economies attempting to normalize. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's anytime a crash comes, it's because the market is overpriced.
Say that again.
So let's examine the term crash. A crash is nothing more than the economy trying to normalize. However, everyone seems to think the environment created by bubbles, which is an unpayable debt, is normal. This is truly fascinating because accepting unpayable debt as norm means that prices are irrelevant, and since prices are irrelevant, there is no risk. But just because we think a thought does not make it a fact. I said that a lot. So, I mean, that's all a bubble and a crash is a market trying to normalize. And that's a good way of putting it. I mean, if you think about it.
It's karma.
But I will, say this again, and I've said it before. If anybody will just Google the charts of previous financial crashes, they will see that we are at the exact peak level that every other crash has been at, and maybe even slightly higher. I mean, it looks like a heartbeat on the screen. Like if you're in the hospital and somebody's hooked up to one of those heart machines, that's exactly what the historical market looks like over the last 100 years. Or not 100, but, close to it. So if you look at all of the ups and downs of the market, man, we are at the top, higher than the crash of the early 1900s, the crash in the 70s, one in the 80s, the ones we just had in 08. It's coming. Coming. In a good story, because I know we're going to talk about Russia and some other stuff, because I've got some serious questions on this too.
Me too.
I've been watching CNN a lot to see what they would be saying.
Oh my God! Did you wash your eyeballs?
No, man, I gotta have a counterpoint, to what's going on. So
okay.
But Russian sanctions retaliation escalates. So the sanctions that America just put on Ukraine, was it yesterday or day before, right before the crash, or it's lost all of its media ability because of this crash. But ignoring for 1 second yesterday's disastrous air crash, the boomerang...
It was not a fucking crash. They shot the fucking plane out of the sky. It was not a crash, you mainstream idiots.
Hold on, no, they're admitting it. But the boomerang of sanctions continues to be thrown back and forth between the U.S. and Russia. Having restricted Russia firms' access to U.S. dollar funding, Putin comes out swinging. His first act was to demand that state departments and state-run companies will no longer purchase PCs built around Intel or AMD processors, which might explain AMD slashing their outlook on their profits.
And Microsoft slashing 18,000 jobs.
Exactly.
They tripled what they were intending to do. They were intending to fire 6,000 people. Instead, they fired 18,000.
Wait a minute. On Wednesday's show, we said a little over 5,800, right, at 6,000. So that number's changed?
Yeah, 6,000 jobs. And Microsoft is now cutting 18,000 jobs.
Well, that story's just come out in the last 2 days then, because Wednesday we said 6,000.
That's right. Yesterday, it was it's on RT. It's an RT headline. And also the BBC had it, too. I tweeted it out.
All right, I got to see it somewhere else other than RT from now on, but... yeah.
BBC News. Oh, what? No, let me keep going. BBC News. Microsoft calls in to Android Nokia smartphones, too. Let's see here. There's another one. I'll find it. Keep going. I'll find it.
All right. But now, he has hit out at the heart of what has made America great, at least in the eyes of some, banning the use of foreign cars for officials in favor of home-produced cars. Russia's policy on Western technology is clear. The country can live without it, especially if key issues like economic sanctions, NSA spying aren't resolved to the leader's satisfaction. It looks like this tough stance extends to U.S. designer computer chips, too. As a Russian business newspaper is reporting that the state departments and state-run companies will no longer purchase PCs built around the Intel or AMD processors. Instead, starting next year, the government will order up to 1 million devices annually based on the Baikal processor, Baikal.
Baikal, yeah. Named after the lake over in Russia, Lake Baikal.
Which is manufactured by a domestic company called T Platforms. An interesting twist, however, is that the processor is actually based on an ARM Cortex-A57 design, which means the East-West divorce isn't quite as complex as it might sound. Top Russian officials may soon forfeit their sleek black Mercedes limousines that speed them through the Kremlin gates in favor of home-produced cars as part of a push to protect domestic industry threatened by Western sanctions over Ukraine. So they've signed an order, this is just recently, limiting purchase or imported cars for state and municipal officials. So they're going to be switching to all foreign cars, or Russian-made. I guess they won't be foreign cars to them. The U.S. is certainly one of the world's leaders. This is what Putin recently said. The boomerangs are coming home. The U.S. is certainly one of the world leaders. At some point it seemed that it was the only leader. in a unipolar system was in place. Today, it appears that is not the case. Everything in the world is interdependent, and once you try to punish someone, in the end, you will cut off your nose to spite your face, he said.
Yep.
And we're doing that. And we're just letting them get away with it.
The whole world hates us. Well, they hate our government.
They hate our government.
Yeah. They take it out on us, but they hate our government. They hate well, go ahead, never mind.
No, that's it. That was the end of the story.
Oh, all right. Well, here you go. Microsoft is set to cut up to 18,000 jobs, marking the deepest cuts in the technology firm's 39-year history. The bulk of the cuts, around 12,500 jobs, will be in its phone unit Nokia, which Microsoft bought in April. Microsoft pledged to cut $600 million a year in costs within 18 months of closing this acquisition. The cuts are much more severe than the 6,000 initially expected. The firm employs 127,000 people globally, including 3,500 staff in the UK. Microsoft declined to say how many jobs in the UK would be cut as a result of the changes. Chief Executive Officer Satya Nadella, who took the helm in February, wants the firm to shift its focus away from software to online services, apps, and devices. Making these decisions to change are difficult but necessary, Ms. Nadella wrote in an announcement to the staff. The firm said it also plans to have fewer layers of management to accelerate the flow of information and decision-making. Microsoft said staff affected by the job cuts would be notified over the next 6 months, and they would be fully compensated by the end of June, and they would be fully completed by the end of June next year. Let's see. So in total, said cuts, including severance pay, will cost it between $1.1 and $1.6 billion over the next year. Daniel Ives, an analyst at FBR Capital Markets and Company, told BBC that although it was painful, the cuts would put the company in a much better situation for coming years. So there you go. That's from the BBC. Microsoft tripling their axe head size. And why would a software company decide to go away from software, turn in a different direction? That makes absolutely zero sense, you jackasses.
Well, it's almost like retiring the space shuttle when they had plenty good years left on them.
Oh, absolutely. And for Bronco to say NASA's objective is to talk to Saudi Arabia in the Middle East and not explore space. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be a jihadi.
Yeah, that rocket just took off from here last week during the day because you could see it from Wallops Island, where they did the lithium launch last year on a payload to the International Space Station.
Nice. I hear your dog in the background.
Panting. Oh, yeah.
What's up, doggy?
Quiet down.
Well, you didn't have to shut the dog up, dude. Did you tie something around its face?
No, she listens. I just said be quiet, and she listens.
Cool.
She's like the best dog ever. I mean, there's a lab. They're so trainable. They're malleable. Good thing that wasn't on. I wasn't on speaker because my dog would be barking right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Or who doesn't? Whose dog doesn't when the TV doorbell rings and during the show, their dogs start barking and run to the front door.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even if they don't have a freaking doorbell on their house, they hear it on the TV and they still bark. Yep. And they could never have heard a doorbell before.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's like instinct.
Instincts? What? No, just kidding. I know, I heard you. Anyway, go on. Next story.
Don't have any more stories. On a side note, I was out drinking beer, eating BLTs tonight out at my parents' house right on the water, and saw for the very first time a baby blue heron.
Oh, very cool, man.
Very cool. We got some great pictures of it. The eye is like red, and the coat is a bluish gray, white. It's not fully blue yet, like a adult But coolest thing we've ever seen. None of us had ever seen a baby great blue heron before.
How big was the baby? Because blue herons are a pretty tall bird, man. I mean, they get up to about 3 feet.
3 feet, 3 feet for an adult because we get them out there all the time. I would say it was no more than a foot tall because it was about as tall as the legs on an adult.
Very cool, man. Yeah, I can't wait to see the pictures. You're going to get them forwarded to me.
Oh, yeah, I'll send you some.
So you don't have no stories?
No. I mean, I knew that the plane, there's enough controversy about that one that I knew we could eat up some time on that one for sure.
Well, we will. I mean, we will. I don't think we're going to take a whole half hour and talk about it, though. But
that one I had that I read, there was an article that I read from a journalist in our local paper. This is our local paper, and it was in the editorial section.
Yeah.
And the name of the letter was "Sound the Alarm. As the First Amendment rights erode, the health of our democratic system wanes." Not that we have a democratic system, but
it's a republic, you jacks.
It's not even a republic. It's an oligarchy.
Oligarchy now.
Yeah, it's not even a republic.
Designed to be a republic.
Right, but the definition of a republic is what the 99% tell the 1% what to do. I mean, that's making the rules and everything else. Right. I wonder when we lost it. I was thinking about that last week. You know, when did we lose and become an oligarchy?
I think it was all an illusion anyway.
I think it was like that from the get-go.
It was designed to be an illusion to keep us all pumped up and waving the fucking flag and saying, "Our people are better than your people. Bomb your asses."
That's the same conclusion I came to. I said, you know what? I think from the very first president we've had, it's been designed this way. I mean, and it's just continuously eroded, but, you know.
Right. Carry on.
As journalists, we are understandably obsessive about the First Amendment. The rights it protects are the lifeblood of our industry and enable media outlets like the Daily Press, that's our local paper, to operate independently of government suppression or intervention. In only 45 words...
I wonder how long this cat's going to have a job.
I was thinking the same thing. In only 45 words, the First Amendment effectively draws the boundary between the freedom of the American public and the full extent of government authority. It defines the perimeters of our democratic society and cultivates the informed, engaged populace critical to our nation's public life. We therefore find it deeply alarming to see the public understanding of the First Amendment plummet to all-time lows. And that's a sad statistic.
Very.
The worrisome trend should facilitate a groundswell of support for better civics education, since only those well-versed in the value of these rights will count themselves among its defenders. The Articles of the Constitution define the institutions and operations of our system, but the Bill of Rights outlines the parameters and expectations of a democratic society. Key among these is the First Amendment, authored by Virginia's own James Madison. Congress shall make...
Dolly's husband, she made some excellent cakes.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Our approach to self-governance is reflected in these cherished rights. We believe in the freedom to worship freely and to be free from religious imposition, to speak without fear, to write what we think, to associate whom we choose, and to bring our complaints and our concerns to the doorstep of government. Every year since 1997, the First Amendment Center conducts a survey to gauge Americans' knowledge of the First Amendment and their popular attitude towards its protections. Dude, we're giving up these rights ourselves. That's why white middle-class America asking for people to be disarmed is another step in this process.
Yep.
It asks about the specifics of the law and seeks to identify trends in how the nation views this part of the government document. Given the decline of civics instructions, which would mean schools not teaching about it, it is unsurprising that Americans generally cannot list the 5 freedoms contained in the First Amendment. A third of those surveyed couldn't name a single one.
Wow.
It stands to
33%
could not name
a single freedom
in the First Amendment.
Holy shit.
The Center reports 38%, this is going to scare you, of respondents believe the First Amendment goes too far in protecting rights. That represents an increase from last year.
Slap those people!
I got a theory on that. When 34% agreed, and a sharp spike from 2012 when only 13% answered that way. That's interesting.
Oops.
Additionally, an astounding 54% of people believe journalists should be compelled to reveal confidential sources to make the United States safer.
You're an idiot.
This may be only a snapshot of public opinion, but it does have profound implications.
Mm-hmm.
Clashes over the First Amendment freedoms are the flashpoints for our most fiercely contested cultural battles, the very definition of what it means to live in our democratic society. This is where personal privacy and national security intersect, and where we hash out the extent of our civil liberties in a post-9/11 era. And that's the whole, kit and caboodle of 9/11 was to start stripping away our rights with the Patriot Act, and
they did it.
And they've done a very good job of it. As such, it is critical the public understand why ratification of the Constitution hinged on the Bill of Rights, and the First Amendment was believed to be so necessary to the American experiment that they made it first. But we also accept this as our failure, a shortcoming of those in our industry and all those in public life. When we discourage citizen participation, violate these freedoms, or fail to properly explain their importance, we are part of the problem. Benjamin Franklin said, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety.
That's right.
And I think those people, the 38% or whatever that says it goes too far, and I can't remember if you and I were talking about it or where I heard it, but I've got it figured out why people like my dad and his generation, your mom, anybody a little older than us is so dead set in their ways, believe in everything, voting, everything like that. Dude, all they had for was TV for the first 40 years of their life.
Right. And they believed everything that was said by Walter Cronkite.
That's it. They either had the newspaper or the TV. That was it.
That was it.
And that's why they're so brainwashed.
Ingrained. Yeah, it's ingrained in them.
That's why they're so brainwashed. It clicked on me the other day, and I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, damn, you know what? You're right.
Come home from work, sit down at lunch, get your news at noon, come home from work, sit down for dinner, get your news at 6, read the paper so you catch up on all your local propaganda, and then go to bed and sleep on that shit, right? You got to finish the night off with MASH. And then
there's so many people of that generation that, maybe get on the internet to check their email, but they're not going to go on there and search out chemtrails or 9/11 or Sandy Hook. They're
the ones that instantly see a headline like that and go, you're a fucking tinfoil hat.
It's like that article I gave you the other day on why conspiracy theorists are bringing down America. Right. You know what? Fuck you. I mean, that article was written by the CIA. I mean, it was just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Sorry about that rant.
That's okay, man. We like rants here on Boiler Room. Okay, let's dive into this Malaysian airliner now.
I got some questions.
I got some huge questions.
Can I start?
Sure.
We talked yesterday that, the militians said we don't have that kind of militants, had that kind of, weapons, that sophistication. We don't have that knowledge. But then CNN and everybody else is playing this recording of a Russian militant that was talking to a Russian officer and said, oops, we shot down the wrong one. We thought we shot down a cargo plane, and then the other guy said, no, reports are that was a civilian airplane, and they're like, oops, well, what are they doing flying in a war zone to begin with?
Okay.
So, I mean, that's pretty compelling.
First of all, that audio clip that you're referring to was released by the Kyiv government, okay? It was released by the Ukrainian puppets that are in place.
So the U.S. government released that.
Exactly. Now, for Barack Obama to come out on television a day after this plane hit the ground and all these people died, and for him to say that they have verifiable proof that the missile came from a rebel-held section of Ukraine, but they can't find MH370 is just laughable. It's laughable.
And you know what the worst part about the president coming out?
It immediately screams propaganda. It immediately screams, we set this up, this plane, and these people are on the ground in pieces because we are propping up the dollar with war. We're trying to poke Putin with a stick and kick this thing off full tilt boogie, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, you pass me a quote, a tweet, I think, or a posting on social media by an anonymous user that was dropped about 10 days ago, 11 days ago now.
No, 4.
4 days ago, okay.
4 days ago.
Okay.
So it's 5 days ago now. It was 4 days before the crash.
Right. And read that for us, please.
I don't have it handy.
Okay. Well, basically, I don't either. Basically, it said, look for a false flag in Ukraine over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a chemical attack, or look for a airliner to be shot out of the sky. Now, wow.
$10, and this was on 7/15
yes.
at 10:42 in the morning. This was posted, and it said $10 says a false flag will happen in Ukraine within the next week. The kikes, and I'm just reading this because this guy's pretty racist, need the media in the Goyim to focus on big bad Russia so they can Holocaust the Palestinians. Either chemical weapons or something big like shooting down a passenger plane. They want us to divert our attention. Just watch.
And boom. And what happened the exact same day that this airliner smacked on the ground?
Palestinian was on
the
ground.
The IDF.
Ground. Yeah.
The IDF took over Gaza. They went in with foot troops and a heavy air assault. It's just, I would laugh if it wasn't so serious. There are people dying all over the planet. Now, I don't know if you're hip to it or not, but I've been reading some things on social media, just average Joeys, typing things on Facebook and in Twitter saying, I've got this heaviness in my heart that I can't get rid of. It's like I can feel the pain that's occurring all over the planet, and I can't shake it. And I think that's what's been happening to me over the last few weeks, months. Because I've been telling you in private conversations, and I've said it on the radio a couple times, that this is just getting to be too much.
Yep.
The nonstop assault of our senses by the endless austerity, not giving a shit about human beings on the planet, all of the greed, and it's getting to be too much, man.
We're tired of being manipulated by them.
There's I think 12 different countries that had people on this plane. England, the U.S.,
100
Dutch.
HIV experts were on the way to an AIDS symposium down in Australia.
Yeah.
And there were 100 of them on that plane.
Some of the best minds,
HIV.
some of the best minds trying to cure that disease just bought it.
Yep.
Just bought the farm.
But I would have lost a bet, or I did say to you last night, and if anybody hadn't heard this, RT is the only one reporting this, that they're saying that, because Putin's plane intersected at that same vortex, was it either 40 minutes before or 40 minutes later? It was
40 minutes later, yeah.
Right, that it was supposed to pass that exact, and it did. It crossed over that exact same path 40 minutes later, that, maybe it was mistakenly shot down and thinking it was Putin's plane. Now, RT is the only one reporting this, but 3 different people on CNN brought it up and said, Russian is claiming that, this was an attack on Putin. I mean, they even said it on CNN, so I was wrong. I thought they'd never mention that.
Listen to this. This came out at 007 GMT, 7 minutes after our show went on the air. Fidel Castro blames the Kyiv government for the downing of the Malaysian airliner in an opinion column published by state media entitled Extraordinary Provocation. The former Cuban leader said the Malaysian Airlines plane was flying over territory under the control of the bellicose government of the chocolate king Petro Poroshenko. Castro said that Cuba has always been in solidarity with the Ukrainian people and said that the island nation cannot refrain from expressing its repudiation of the action by the same anti-Russian, anti-Ukrainian, pro-imperialist government. Holy shit. For Castro to be saying that.
Yep.
Man, I tell you what.
Yeah, I heard they're going to be opening up that Russian listening post back in Cuba again.
Big Ear. Big Ear is back online.
That's what I heard. So you want to talk about metadata getting recorded? Not only is the NSA going to have all of us, so will Russia, but they're not going to do anything.
They don't give a shit about what's going on by the people. They want to know what the government's doing.
Yeah, I was going to say, they know we're pissed off at our government.
Yeah.
They won't be following us.
France is sending people over to Ukraine because they had people on this plane. The Pentagon has no information that anti-Kyiv forces are in possession of an air defense system capable of shooting down a plane. So that's just bullshit. That everything that came out of Bronco's mouth is bullshit because they have absolutely no. And even the Ukrainian separatists, if you want to call them that, the rebels, whatever. I mean, one man's rebels, another man's freedom fighter, right? So they came out right after this thing hit the ground and they said, we did not do this. We only have man-pan shoulder-fire rockets. They don't even reach 15,000 kilometers, and this thing was flying at, 5,000 kilometers. This thing was flying at 10. So I don't believe that the separatists did this at all. Not at all. I guarantee it was a Bach missile that took this out because that's what Ukraine has on the ground, and they are set up all over eastern Ukraine because that's as close as they can get to the Russian border. So, anyway, that's just my opinion. And here's another question that I've got for you folks. If you've been watching YouTube and you've seen any of the video recordings of this plane hitting the ground and bursting into flames, I got a question for everybody that's seen those videos. Where is the smoke trail out of the sky? If this thing was hit at 33,000 feet where it was flying,
yep.
If it was hit by a missile at 33,000 feet and started to break apart and come to the ground, where is the trail of smoke? Because you don't see any smoke until it hits the ground and explodes.
Sure is a coincidence they got it on video, too.
Well, there's a lot of people running around with their cell phone cameras because their villages are getting shelled daily, right?
That's true.
So, yeah, that wasn't so surprising to me. What else is surprising to me is that the Kyiv Air Force had 2 jets trailing this aircraft for 30 minutes, and nobody's saying anything about that. Just too many what ifs, man. This is a blatant false flag. And for them to take innocent civilians, like I have no clue where MH370 is. I still firmly believe it's on the ground in Diego Garcia or Pakistan because the Russian government said that they tracked it all the way to Pakistan and it went wheels down on a runway there. But, I don't think it's in the bottom of the ocean. I think they're still wasting money looking off the coast of Australia because they've still got vessels out there looking for this thing. They're wasting their money doing that.
They know. All they got to do is look at the satellite footage. We've had many discussions about that.
But for the American government to come out and say that they're not going to release footage of that incident, and then to say that they have footage of this incident and watched it get shot down is just bullshit. It's manipulation, trying to manipulate the opinion of the world. I'm thinking, not just the U.S.
I was yelling at the TV today when Obama was talking, and not only because I'll never know how the final game was, the big prize package on The Price is Right, because it cut into that. Now I'll never know how the show ended.
Oh, damn.
But, the hypocrisy that comes out of our politicians' mouth is so bad. I mean, I was yelling at the TV, we firmly believe in a nation's, wanting to rule the way they want to rule and live the way they want to live and respect their sovereignty and everything else. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll accept the last 8 of them that we attacked,
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's laughable.
It's criminal.
That too.
And I wonder what's going to happen when the people finally come to that conclusion and stop believing, anything that comes out of Washington's mouth, or 10 Downing Street, or whoever, Merkel's place. I don't know what the name of that place is, but you just are we gonna prosecute him? Are we gonna send him to prison? Are we gonna hang him? Are we gonna put him in front of a firing squad? I mean, because the crimes against humanity that these governments are responsible for is anathema. You know what I mean? To the tune of probably billions of people over the decades. They've just slaughtered them for personal gain, control of resources, control of people, territory. Am I wrong?
Nope.
Okay. So do we take them before the Hague? Or do we just...
You can't.
Because the Hague's controlled by them?
Yeah, you can't. How do we can't? I mean, how do we get out of it? I mean, you can't. They're not going to peacefully leave. You know that.
Nope. They will never
vote
them out. Power.
You can't vote them out because they control the elections with the Electoral College. I mean, a majority does not win because in a democracy, Gore would be president. He won more of the, popular vote, but because the Electoral College was invented after common people had the right to vote that didn't have any business interest in, the first, obviously, elections were only landowners or business owners could vote. And then they opened it up to everybody, women, black people. Well, I mean, the Electoral College is to go in and play that. They're never going to get it because they're going to keep voting, thinking they can get the right guy into office.
This was just dropped into chat by Coda. Thanks, Coda. I'm going to go ahead and read this article. This is out of Zero Hedge. Now, this was submitted by Tyler Durden. I don't know how deep he is into this, but anyway, this is from Ukraine. Earlier, when we commented on the abnormality in the flight path of MH17, we said that perhaps before coming to certain conclusions about the involvement of this rebel, or that the key questions one should ask before casting blame is why did the pilot divert from his usual flight plan? Why did he fly above the restricted airspace? And just what, if any, instructions did Kyiv Air Control give the pilot in the minutes before the tragic explosion? The similar answer would have come if Ukraine had merely released the air traffic control recordings from the tower in flight MH17, something that Malaysia did after the aftermath of the disappearance of 370, which at last check has still never been recovered. It now appears that answers will be forthcoming because, as the BBC reports, Ukraine's SBU security services has confiscated recordings of conversations between Ukrainian air traffic control and the crew of the doomed airliner MH17. A source in Kyiv has told Interfax News. Let's see, here's the quote. Ukraine's emergency services have found 2 black boxes at the crash site of the downed Malaysia airline flight MH17. The governor of eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region has been quoted as saying, I actually heard yesterday that there are 12 black boxes on the 777. 12. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Pro-Russian separatists in the region said Thursday that they had found one black box when the Malaysian airliner came down between Krasny Luch and Luhansk region and Sharsk in the neighboring region of Donetsk. Interfax Ukraine News said that claimed the first black box has been sent to Moscow for analysis. The BBC has reported a second black box has been recovered at the crash site. Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov has been quoted as saying Russia does not plan to take the black boxes from the downed Malaysian airliners in territory held by pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. They're not going to take them. Okay. However, separatist leader Alexander Borodal told the Associated Press no black boxes have been found. Interesting. And a spokesperson for the emergency ministry in Kyiv declined to comment. Interesting as well. Okay, they're just going to play this to the end, right? So then all of a sudden, 6 months from now, they'll come out with a ghost recording. Oh, we recorded it off of the interweb, and this is what happened. And okay, hard to believe anything any longer.
Yeah, we had talked about that the other day when I posted a weird story, and you were like, you know what? Could be true. I don't know what the hell to believe right now.
Okay, here's one last one. I'm going to try to squeeze this in. We got about a minute. Spanish air controller at Kyiv, Borispol, Ukraine military shot down MH17. This Kyiv air traffic controller is a citizen of Spain and was working in the Ukraine. He was taken off duty as civil air traffic controllers along with other foreign immediately after a Malaysia airline passenger aircraft was shot down over the eastern Ukraine, killing 295 people. So, I don't know. Truth's going to get dropped somehow, somewhere.
We won't know it.
No.
It'll get hid by the deceptions.
Keep your eyes open, people. This is nothing. Yeah, this is nothing but a false flag. Start looking for other things to be happening around the planet. Something serious is getting ready to go down. I promise.
Palestine's getting wiped off, and not a lot of people are reporting about that now.
We'll talk about that on Monday for sure.
There'll be plenty between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Go get your $20 worth of canned goods. It's that time again.
And prepare for something serious, because it's getting ready to happen. Okay, stay tuned. Turboville's replays right after me. And then the new one, United Front. And then Levon's on for Anti-Media Radio. So I'm going to go transfer the phones to her. Thank you, Lance, my brother. I'm glad you're better. Have fun playing golf.
Peace and love.
Peace, everybody.